Hey guys, I decided to go back to Dark Phoenix today for my re-clear, my better clear without using Zidane's STMR, which is currently broken. Just in case they don't fix it by the end of Dark Visions, I'm gonna have to re-clear this boss anyway with a new team. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it today because the team wouldn't change between now and Tuesday. So there's no real reason to wait for Tuesday. So we're gonna try to beat the 60k score from my day one clear. So this is the team we're going to use, and I will put a link to the timestamp because I'm going to wait till after the clear to go over the whole team's build and gear and explanation of what each unit is built that way for. We're just going to do the fight at first because I may make a mistake, things may go wrong, and then I may change things. So we're going to do the clear, and then after the clear, I will show the team, explain everything. Also, I'll pin a link to my actions per turn chart in the comments. So let's go ahead and give this a try and see if we can improve our score. We're going for a turn 10 clear, so it's a little bit longish, but it shouldn't be too terrible. Alright, so turn 1, Bart is going to entrust to Zidane, who is in the shift form, and going to stack his LB. Ferris will just do her Magnus to fill her LB. Edgar will Rallying Cry. Noctis from Tetra will bar Aroga for wind resist, and then Alphonse from Carbuncle will bar Farega for fire resist. So currently passive provoking is Ferris in the shift form. We're also passive provoking in the base form of Zidane, so they can swap duties later in the fight, and you'll see as we get it going. Alright, so now we're going to use Elric to dual cast Reflect on himself and then Protect on himself to buff up the boss's defenses a little bit so the boss takes less damage. So we're going to go ahead and punch the boss with Zidane to get some entrust going. We will Rallying Cry with Noctis and Edgar, which lets us now entrust to Zidane a second time with Bart. And Ferris can just guard. She's done for the moment. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and put a second stack of Zidane up. There we go. That's done. We'll Rallying Cry with the 2 Dragoons. Nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And then Bart can just go ahead and entrust a little bit of gauge he has over to Zidane again to make Zidane refilling easier. Okay. This turn we're going to get Imperiled. So the whole team, other than Zidane, is immune to the elements, even with the Imperil up. In the current form. They're all in their DPS forms, they're not wearing that much resist gear, but in this form they are. So only Zidane needs to be cured. So we're going to use Rage Beast Roar with Ferris to dispel Zidane. Now the reason I'm doing this is we could use the dual cast Dispel trick, but that relies on owning Lena's STMR. So I kind of wanted to do a clear that didn't rely on Lena's STMR. So that's why we're doing it this way. It's a little bit trickier this way, but more accessible. And as far as Bushido goes, someone else is using Bushido later in the fight, which is why we didn't use Bushido right there. Anyway, Zidane's going to punch the boss to fill LB gauge again. So we're going to shift Bart, because we did dispel Zidane. Now we're going to use a 100% wind resist in the shift form with Raging Winds. Let's see. The Dragoons can just Rallying Cry again, and we need fire resist again with Elric because we did dispel Zidane. So there we go. So the rest of the team is still imperiled, but they're wearing enough gear to be immune even with the imperil still up in the current form. Alright, so on this turn, turn 5, we're going to summon Carbuncle with Ferris to put up Reflect on the party. And we're going to dual cast single target, Protect, and Shell on 2 different units. So we're going to Shell Bart, and we're going to Protect Elric. This is going to put up a bunch of buffs on the boss, so he takes less damage during setup. And the boss is taking minimal damage now, but once we break the boss, which we're doing before the kill, he's going to start taking a lot more damage. So we wanted to buff up the boss to make that not really as big of a problem. Alright, now we're also going to get the chain count score out of the way, because we're not chaining to 100 on the kill turn. So we're going to go ahead and chain this with the Wind's Wake that Bart's gave us. The chain count score is just really, really dumb, and I wish they would take it out of Dark Visions. What is the point other than to annoy players that aren't really good at chaining? I really don't like the the chain count score being a part of Dark Visions. That's one of my least favorite parts. But anyway, it's done for this clear. So Zidane with his fill LB gauge. We're all full in LB gauge. That's kind of like not important, but nothing else really to do. And Bartz on this turn can just guard. Alright. Alright, so now Elrics are going to dual cast Bar Thundega twice. Now the reason we're doing this is you'll notice that we still have, some units still have Reflect from earlier. So we need to cast it twice to get rid of Reflect and then apply Thunder Resist to the entire party. And the reason for Thunder Resist you'll see next turn. But anyway, that's now done. So we're going to use Noctis now to base form LB to put up Sword in Peril. The rest of the party doesn't really have much really to do. We can just guard these. Don't guard Zidane though, so Zidane's going to just fill LB gauge so he doesn't guard. Because if Zidane guards, his stacks go away. And that would be a very bad thing. So we're going to get imperiled again this turn. But this turn, Ferris is busy. So we're going to be dispelling the party with Zidane. Zidane is single wielding a thunder weapon. So he's going to use Bushido on the party. Because we buffed Thunder Resist and we're not imperiled with Thunder, it's going to deal 0 damage. We're all at now 100% Thunder Resist with the buff. So Zidane can safely Bushido our own team. And that way we don't need Mirage. Because the rest of the team is all busy this turn. We're doing a lot of stuff this turn. So Edgar is going to shift and do his shifted LB. Noctis is going to shift. Yeah, now we're all going to the shift forms, which are not wearing so much resistance gear. We're going to do all of Noctis' skills in the shift form to get him set up. Wait for this to be done. We don't want to chain at all if possible. We do need Fire Resist again from Dispelling the Party, so we're going to Fire Resist with Alphonse. Bartz is now going to Wind Resist the party. Blessed Wind Crystal for the Amplify, and then just whatever. Doesn't really matter what else we do with him. And then Ferris is going to Shift Form LB on the boss this turn to break the boss. So now that the boss is broken, you can take a lot more damage, which is why we really wanted to have Protect and Shell up on the boss. And by casting it on turn 5, it'll wear off naturally on the turn before we kill the boss. Alright, so turn 8 is a little bit of a tricky turn. This is like the only RNG in the fight I'm going to be relying on. So we're going to start off with using Bartz's Shifted LB to AoE imbue the party with Wind. Now we need to get Bartz's LB refilled from drops this turn. He's wearing 1000% fill rate and 12 auto limit per turn, so we only need like 3 drops on him to fill him to max, but it is going to still be relying on RNG. So to start off, we're going to, well, Noctis is just going to do his 3 power-ups. He's not part of this this refill deal. Alright, we're going to go to the base form with Elrics, and they're going to tag twice, and then Magnus to AoE attack and magic buff. Hopefully the tags fill up Bartz. We got some. That's good. That's good. Let's see. Now Zidane is going to triple. We're going to fill LB twice, and then Bird Killer. Okay, Bartz should be good at this point. We're good. And then Edgar's going to jump, which also causes crystal drops. Yeah, we're good. Bart's got it. Okay, and now Ferris is going to triple. We're going to Magnus. We're going to Blades of Courage to 130 Fire Imperil the boss. That's very important for the way we're doing this. And then we're going to just whatever. Okay. Alright, so turn 9. We're going to use Zidane to do the base form LB for the 250 LB damage buff. This step will be skipped, obviously, if his STMR was working, but it's not. So now we're going to go back to the base form with Bartz, and we're going to entrust to Zidane. And because this is the turn, we're shifting Bartz back to the base form. At the end of the turn, his Unleashed Power passive will kick in and refill Bartz to maximum LB. Because we're using Bartz's LB for damage this time. We're not using his chaining. We're going to shift Alphonse to the shift form. and we're going to imbue them with fire. Now, the reason we're doing this is they're going to be the only chainer on the kill turn, and they're going to be, I want them to be triple element chaining to build that tag chain quicker. They're using a holy weapon, they're imbued with wind, and now they're imbued with fire. So the boss is also imperiled to fire, imperiled to wind, and imperiled to holy. So that's the reason we did all of that. And he's amplified to all 3 elements as well, and I'll show that more at the end of the video. Noctis will just go ahead and jump this turn. He's now good to go. And to the base form with Faris, who is going to Aero Cannon, and hopefully not push the threshold. She shouldn't. But this is the reason we needed 2 passive provokers. So Faris is no longer provoking in the base form, but Zidane is in the base form. So we're good. Oh yeah, we're not going to push the threshold. We're fine. We're fine. Okay, so we're going to be killing on turn 10. Here we go. And then now, you know, Zidane is provoking instead of Faris, which is fine. There's the Imperil, but it is kill turn. Alright, so back to the base form with the Elrics. They're going to be our single chainer with tag chaining. Bart is going to base form LB to cap. Zidane is going to shift and do his shifted LB to cap. And then Faris is going to do the base form LB for the field. Okay, so and then we're going to cap it with the Dragoons. So let's hope for somewhere around 5.4 billion damage based on my calculations, either more or less based on variance. So let's go ahead and do this. Wait for the chain. Okay. Let's see what we did. Fingers crossed. 36-point chain should have been the chain score. 5.3, so we got slightly less variance than calculated. You know, I calculated about 5.4 for a perfect variance. I mean for middle variance, for average. So more or less 15%. Looks like we got a little bit less. So I could rerun that multiple times, over and over and over, just hoping for better variance, which I might do on Wednesday, on the last day, assuming the STMR is not fixed. If the STMR is fixed, I'll be doing a different team regardless. So I'm not really going to spend a lot of time, you know, fighting variance today. So my rank went up from 198 to 149. Okay, so not bad overall. Not the biggest jump. I'm still nowhere close to top 100. But my score improved, so it's more likely I'll stay within the 100 to 500 tier. Last month, kind of funnily, I ended at literally rank 503. I was 3 ranks away from the tier, so I was in this tier last month. I was 3 ranks away from 501 on the last day. It felt real bad. Anyway, so the team that we just did, let me go ahead and explain what's going on here in more detail. This team is a little bit involved, and like I mentioned, part of the reason it's so involved is I really wanted to not rely on Lena's STMR for dispels, which, you know, I get a lot of comments all the time, you know, what do I do if I don't have Lena's STMR? You know, your planned actions didn't allow me to use Bushido, and this one wouldn't either. So we did it this way. But anyhow, Wind Party. So Espers that are important. We needed Elrics on Carbuncle with Bar Farega learned, Bar Thundega learned, or you could have used Ice as well, Bar Blazega. We use Thunder, it doesn't really matter which one. And then Protect and Shell learned and Reflect. And Tetrasylphid has Bar Aeroga learned. The rest of the Espers are not really super important, so there we go. Okay, so Bart, he did his LB to base form cap. His LB, which apparently I never even leveled. Oh my god, what a bastard. I never even leveled it. At least not that much. I maybe should give him... Anyway, well, at level 25, it was a 120x modifier. If I had leveled, it could have been a 135x. But he did base form LB with capping. Now, overall, based on my calculations, he would have done about 400 million at rank 40 LB. So maybe he's the reason we actually got less than average, because I didn't realize his LB wasn't leveled. Whoopsie. But he has this gear. There we go. And as far as resistances go, Everyone's got different resistances for each form for different reasons. It's gonna be confusing to try to explain each resistance and the reason for every single person. I'll just show it, and you can hopefully figure it out from what we just did. Here's his base form resistances, and his stats were 160 Avian and maxed out LB damage boost. He did his LB to cap. He did Entrusting in the base form, and then Entrusted Zidane. Shift form, not super important, just resist gear. He did have 1,000% fill rate, because remember that turn we had to use his LB and then refill him immediately with only drops. So 1,000% fill rate, 12 LB per turn in the shift form. And then he had the shift form needed 90 or better fire resist and 60 or better wind resist, because he was not getting dispelled from the first Imperil in the shift form. So there we go. Zidane, base form, like I mentioned, he is using a thunder weapon so that we could hit the party with thunder Bushido. He's also got full passive provoke, full evasion. Zidane is actually an amazing passive provoker for those that don't know. If you're wearing his TMR chest, he's got naturally, with nothing else equipped, 80% evasion and 50% passive provoke. So with just the Moogle Charm and 20-sided dice, he's fully evade passive provoke, which is, great. Yay. But he was not using enough resistance in the base form or the shift form, which is why he got single target dispelled on turn 4. Shift form, big boy damage. Based on my calculations, he did about 1.8 billion damage. He was obviously the biggest damage dealer. He gave Bird Killer to the party. He gave a 250 LB buff to the party as well. Maxed LB, actually only 295 Bird Killer. I chose to give him a copy of Poach instead of maxing his Bird Killer so I could spread it around. So it helped out, because I'm actually a little bit lowish on Bird Killers. Ferris in the base form is using... the base form she only went to on the turn before the kill, so she needed less resistances there. Double sword to synergize with Noctis' Imperil. Other than that, very classic Ferris build. Evocation damage. There's her stats. You can just look at it. And then, yeah, there we go. Shift form, she was passive provoke evasion, and she had Rage Beast Roar to single target dispel Zidane, because Zidane was the only one not immune after the first Imperil. And then Behemoth Synergy, just so that the Esper Gauge is filled when we needed to do Carbuncle. She did the Carbuncle trick later in the fight. Other than that, she did very classic Ferris things. Edward Elric, in the base form, they were our tag chainer. Like I mentioned, they are using a holy weapon because Noctis did Holy Imperil. Other than that, they just had some resistances in the base form, and then LB damage and Bird Killer and all that. By the way, as far as damage calculations go, because we don't have the in-game report card, Ferris did approximately 670 million damage, approximately, based on my calculations. Edward Elric, as mostly a support unit that's clear with the tag chaining, and also because they're triple element chaining and they're the tag chainer, they only did approximately 250 million damage. They were definitely the low tier element, but they did the 300% attack and magic buff with their Magnus for the party. That will get replaced by Zidane's STMR if it's working later, and if Zidane's STMR is working later, they will then be the singer for the STMR, and I will adjust the party's actions to deal with it. They also had, in the shift form, they had an auto amplify for Holy and an auto amplify for Fire, because they're triple element chaining. Dual cast, they had the bomb arms to imbue themselves with fire. And they were on Carbuncle for all that support stuff, and there's the resistances in the shift form. Noctis in the base form, Lion Emblem, double sword for the chain count score on the turn we did AR, high resistances. Shift form, he was a jumper, he was the secondary DPS. He did, based on my calculations, 1.3 billion damage. So he was the secondary DPS behind Zidane. Bird Killer, jump damage. Unfortunately, he is locked to Holy Elements, so it nurses damage a little bit, but it's fine. 775 jump, maxed out Bird Killer. And then Edgar, base form, same as Noctis, dual wielding. He was a support chainer, Lion Emblem, enough resistances to be immune even with the Imperil up. Shift form, there's his shift form stats. He's got a sword and a spear, jump damage, Bird Killer, etc. 4200. 775 jump, and 250 bird. If you have Arden, absolutely replace Edgar with Arden, and he will do more damage. And that's the whole party. Okay, so there was my re-clear on Phoenix, and if the STMR from Zidane is not fixed, this will be my last, like, try-hard clear. I may do, like, a more budget clear on Phoenix later in the week, which obviously will get less score, but won't use, like, basically Zidane. Zidane is the big boy damage here, and for those of you that don't have Zidane, I will do, like, another clear without Zidane, which will do just, obviously, a whole lot less damage, but we'll see what we can do. I'll probably do that clear, maybe with Vivi on the party later, maybe on Tuesday. So we'll see. It'll be done later. And if Zidane's STMR is fixed, I'll rerun that with a new team when that happens. Okay, there it is. See you guys next time.